Hello, Leanne, Adelaide, and back with some small projects. Going to just give you a quick walkthrough to tell you what we're going to do, and probably won't have much video of our actual doing because we'll both be involved in just doing a few bits and pieces. We just want to get it done quickly so we can go and have lunch, and I will show you just the end result. So first of all, coming over here to the elephant ears. So that's the one that was in garden projects, Leanne's garden projects number 1. And this one is pushing out the main one, which you can see the stem in there. And that's the main stem. That's pushing up some pups. The main one's pushing out a lot of flowers. We're getting flowers like every week, at least 1 or 2 flowers. So it eventually is going to die, but in the meantime it might even push out some more pups. So what we're going to do today is we've worked out that there's 5 in here. It's hard to tell, but you can see that quite easily there's one little pup here, and I've got the camera pointing to the next pup, and then immediately behind it, which would have a separate root system, it's quite separate, is that one. And then behind that one again is another lot, and again that's separated enough that it should have its own separate root system. Finally, just going around to the front, and we've got that one there which has got reasonable leaf. So we've decided that the little baby one down the bottom has to stay. We also decided that this one right here that I'm zooming back on, the one at the front there, that will stay because we want that to replace the one that will eventually die, the main master one, which is the one that was originally transplanted from the balcony pot. And we're going to grab the other 3 and transplant them elsewhere in the garden. So that's one little project. Now these are all smiley, I mean really they're not projects, they're just little garden jobs, but just wanted to run through the planning process so that you could see the end result and understand what's happened and all that. The plan there is to put some of the elephant ears, we're not sure how many at this stage, into this area here. We've got a canna lily that's really doing very poorly, and I think it needs more light. And we're going to dig that one out and put some elephant ears in there. That area gets a fair bit of shade. It's sort of a bit half and half shade, sun, depending on the time of the year, and it really has struggled there. I've got no idea why. The one next to it's doing okay. That's a Bengal tiger or Pretoria. That's going a little bit better, so we'll keep that one there. And the other spot we've pretty much earmarked for the elephant ears, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever, is an area at the corner here. We've got cordylines here and they were featured in the garden tour that I did after the extreme heat that we had, 46.6 degrees Celsius or 115.8 I think it was Fahrenheit. But look, you've got one completely dead one there. Got another one here that's like reduced to a little stick. Oh, there's my toes. Hello, toes. And the other 3 really don't look that well. They were actually really badly infested with some sort of spider mite or 2-spotted mite or whatever. Some time ago I sprayed them, but they're just really struggling. So again, looking to probably put those canna lilies possibly in there, and maybe one of the elephant ears, alocasias, or some sort of, yeah, we'll work that out, but that's sort of the overall plan. And we often just go with the flow. Like sometimes you have a plan in mind, but then you change depending on how things seem to work out on the day. So that's a couple of little projects. The other project is we've got some plants that have kind of been indoor, outdoor type plants, and we're going to get some of them reshuffled into different pots. So to do that, I'm going to go inside and show you one of those that's involved in one of those repotting little jobs. So I've got a rubber plant here, and that's the old nice burgundy, I think they call it, or there's anyhow dark leaf with and you get those nice new leaves coming up. It's in a tiny pot. It's way outgrown that pot, as you can see if I pan back. Like, the plant looks way too big for that pot. So I'm going to pop that up. Now I'm going to do something a bit like against the rules. We're going to pop that up into a pot that's much bigger than it should be. So the plan is that will go into this pot here. And the plant that's a self-watering pot. So you'll end up seeing it inside. So this one that you see now will probably stay outside but be put into another pot. This self-watering pot will have that burgundy rubber plant, and in the corner over here the self-watering pot will go inside that one, and eventually that will be a nice tall plant to fill up in that area, but we're talking about long term for that one. It's probably going to take a year before it really gets some decent height. Right, so if you're still following what we're doing, this plant will go into a bigger pot, and we've got a pot over here. We've got a couple of options. We've got this one here, which is like a concrete type fibre cement, fairly light pot, and then you've just got an old cheap nasty plastic pot, so one of those. And you can see we've got another one of those already in a pot outside. So I've got a bit of tidying up to do. I'm not sure how much we'll do of that. We've got plants there that mint plants that I gave no water to accidentally over the heat wave, and they all completely carked it, so I just got to get rid of all that. And that's probably about it for today as far as the shifting around. The other thing to let you know is this in front, which is Moses in the Cradle, or Roea, that I'm trying to get that thickened up. I've grabbed some from elsewhere in the garden and just want to get a nice, really solid block. So you can see there's some gaps in front, and what I want to do is also, and I've just started applying some more, along the side I want to bring out the sides further, so we're talking about sort of building, bring it right out through there and making a bit of an outline around the water feature, so going through there and down and right up to the concrete so there's no gaps, and then going across and then back up through there, so get that area all planted with those Roea. So you get a nice little solid block that surrounds the water feature. I think that will really look good. And guess what? John has started already. I've spent too much time talking and no action, so here's the action. You might not see much more. You'll be seeing the finished product of our little garden adventures, little garden jobs today. So this, yep, so he's got the pick. We find that a lot of people use spades, so just before we go off to actually do some more work, John uses the one of those picks. It's got that pointy bit at one end. Can you just lift that up, John, so we can see? So you've got the, I think, what's that called? Is that called a pick? You've got a pointy bit at one end, I think you saw that. And then you've got that sort of shovelly, more, and with just to get in around some of the plants, I find that really useful. Spade can be a bit almost too brittle. So you're getting in, a little pick has a tiny little area, and you can get in and not really disturb anything too much around. So, alright, so let's get to work and you'll see the end results. Here's the result with the rubber plant, the dark one planted here in the pot inside. So okay, it looks very small and it's not really doing much to cover that area, but I know with a bit of fertiliser and some warm weather and sun coming through that window, it won't take long. Probably in a year's time you'll really see that will be much taller than that. So happy with that one. It's all watered in and ready to go. Now I'll go back outside and show you the rest of the work that we did today. So back outside, just going to come around to the other rubber plant that was transplanted. So the one that was originally inside in that pot that the dark one is now in. So on the right hand side, it's been repotted into this pot, and the one next to it that was already there in that pot. Now they were both tiny plants when I bought them, and they've grown quite a lot. They have had some sun damage, and I've cut some of the leaves off that are badly sun damaged. You can see the sort of damage there. Because these are lighter, they don't seem to cope as well with the sun, whereas the dark one seems to be able to cope better. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is around the water feature. I was talking about how I wanted to have more of a surrounding around the water feature. I had dug up some moses in the cradle, rowias, and you can see the start of it. There's patches that aren't completely planted out, but they'll fill out reasonably quickly. And I've tried to plant some more in the front as well. Some of them you can't even see, they're just there's plants in there, but they're buried under the mulch, but they'll start to fill up those gaps there. And then you can see some along this side as well. So you can just see the starts of a nice little block as I outlined in my original plan. So next, move on to the elephant ears. So that's now been reduced to the original plant, which was the one that we moved in and I'm showing you the trunk of it now, and that's the rest of it. So it's basically pumping out lots of flowers, but not many leaves. And that was moved ages ago from the balcony down to the garden here, and then in the last 6 months or so, perhaps even longer, it started producing pups. So there were 5 pups. We've left 2. One really small one down the front still there, and the biggest one is still there. So we're going to leave that there. When the mother plant dies down, then at least we'll have a decent amount of growth there with the 2 plants. Then moving across, so 2 of the pups went here. So I've got one just there. One of the leaves is sort of folded over a bit. Now, unfortunately, and I've got to be careful, that's probably going to break if I muck around with it too much. 2 out of the 3 pups had really shallow roots. One of them had really good roots, and that's another one there. But so that will be a little, a little small clump, I guess. Now, I'm going to move through the garden to the back, so you can see I've removed, if you can recall, I removed some in this area. I had some canna lilies that had sort of darker leaves, stripy leaves. They've been moved into the back corner near the corder lines. I'm just going to pop through here now so you can see what I've done. And they've been transplanted into this area here. Now the corder lines, we got rid of 2 that were completely dead, we're going to give these 3, which don't look that great, a bit of a chance to see if they're going to rejuvenate. So I'm thinking that maybe by the end of spring this year, if they're still looking really bad, then it's time to pull them out. The other 2, one was dead and one was so near dead it wasn't funny. So hoping these will like their new home a bit better. They weren't happy with their previous place, and I really don't know why. And then finally, the other elephant ears pup, I've planted that there. It had really shallow roots, looking a bit worse for wear. But what I've done is I've sort of planted it on the lower level, and then you've got the garden bed, and you've got another elephant ears, and that was the small one that we transplanted from the balcony, and that's doing okay, considering that we've been through that horrible hot day where lots of things got fired off. Alright, so that's the little projects that were done today. I ended up doing most of them. John wasn't feeling that well, so it did take a little bit longer than I thought, and I've still got lots of other ideas for things I'd like to do, but there's only so much time I want to spend today. Very short little garden jobs, I guess you can call that a garden project, and I've got more to come, and once all the cannas start to come back again and start flowering, then definitely do another garden tour and an update also of the front garden. Alright, so looking forward to coming back to show you all that. And in the meantime, happy gardening, and it's goodbye from Leanne and Adelaide.